Playing an 8-ball pool game on my phone got me thinking, might it be possible to use computer guidelines to help you aim in the real world? Well, I believe if you truly understand how to use this hack, then you can. This is Break From Life. Welcome back, and if it's your first time watching one of our videos, then it's fantastic to have you here. 8-Pool is a mobile game for iOS and Android made by Miniclip. Hit the links in the description if you want to give this a go, but I must warn you, although this game has some great features like being able to play 8-ball or 9-ball against millions of people across the world, the brilliant simplicity that allows anybody to be moderately good at this game can get annoying at times. Most worryingly of all, there's no option to play snooker on it, and just like everybody else, they're not sponsoring us to make this or any other video, unfortunately. But if you're more interested in being competitive in the real world than beating your friends on Facebook, then you're going to want to know this. Is it possible to aim like this in real life? Well, I can tell you, if you go about this in a slightly different way, not doing it all at once but taking it step by step, then it can feel like you're lining shots up with guidelines. The vital thing here is you need to be doing the right things at the right time, and step one is really simple. All you need to do is select which shot you're going to play. I'm going to play this one, and then work out its line to the pocket. In computer games, this is usually the last thing to do, but in the real world, you need to know this before you do anything else and get to step two. If you played 8-pool, I wonder if you paid much attention to this circle or this line. What's this showing you? Well, it's actually very simply showing you where the cue ball will strike the object ball and the path it's going to take to get there. If you want to improve your IRL game, these are the most vital points to understand and get right. It's vital to follow the line back from the pocket and work out exactly where the cue ball would need to be to pot the ball. Once you understand where the circle needs to go, then you just have to draw the line straight back through this to the centre of the cue ball, giving us our target on the object ball. Step 3 is very simple in the game, not so much on the snooker table, because it's just simply playing the shot exactly how you lined it up. And I'm sure this is something everybody would like to consistently be able to get right, even Carl Carnbury from San Francisco in the USA. So what do you have to do to be able to play a shot exactly how you aimed it? Well, to make step 3 work, we need to align where your cue's playing the shot to and where you're aiming, and we can do this by simply taking the white and a collection of balls. With these, there's a very simple way to practice playing shots absolutely full. Line up a shot absolutely dead straight to a pocket. It doesn't need to be a difficult shot. Actually, it really helps if it's a very simple shot. Then you can just try to play the shot as straight as you can. Don't worry about playing it to the center of the pocket. Just try and hit it as straight as possible. The best way to play these shots straight is to try and find the reflection in the cue ball. You can never see this with a camera, but with your own eyes it's obvious, and you can actually see it from quite a distance. Imagine your tip isn't going to strike the cue ball at all then, and it's actually going to just strike the reflection in the red. Just continuously play your tip straight at the reflection until every shot starts going exactly straight. But of course, we're not just going to be playing shots straight, we're going to be playing them at angles as well. So what you can do is this: line up a red directly behind another red, making absolutely straight. Use chalk to mark the first red, move to a position where the first red seems to be striking exactly half of the second red, and then place the cue ball there and take the first red away. This is how you can practice half ball shots. Simply mark where the cue ball is with a block of chalk again, meaning any shot you play from this position will be absolutely identical. To pot the red this time, we have to imagine we're playing our tip not to the centre but to the very edge. This will help you understand where the edge of the ball is, as well as building up confidence, which will be helpful later on when we put a routine together that will help you line up shots with increased accuracy. But of course, what happens if it's slightly thinner? You also need to practice playing shots thin, and you can do it like this by trying to strike the object ball as thin as possible. But why do you need to do this? Well, we're going to be using the edge of the cue ball to line up shots that are thinner than half ball, so you need to know exactly where the edge is. And if you want to know more about lining shots up like this, try our video Snooker aiming system. It's in the card right now and on the Break From Life channel page, along with a load of other videos that help you dominate at the game and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel, just like Shahrus Morali, who lives in Tehran, Iran. Once you have an understanding of where the tip of your cue plays the white, then you can start lining up shots with it. If it were to travel straight through the cue ball and the target cue ball, it would find a point on the red. This is your target, what you have to aim for if you want to pot the ball. And all you should be thinking about on the shot is playing your tip in this direction, because this will guarantee you pot the ball. This works on all shots that are thicker than half ball. When you get thinner shots, you have to use the edge of the cue ball and line them up to a point on the object ball. This is why we were practicing thin shots earlier, to make sure we knew where the edge of the cue ball is. So here's my 7-stage routine that will help you implement these steps on every single shot. Stage 1, before you even go to the table, you need to work out which shot you're going to play and its line to the pocket. By standing directly between the object ball and the pocket, you will see exactly where the cue ball needs to go in order to pot it. You can then think about playing the white directly towards the target white, giving you stage 3, the target on the object ball. Just don't worry that this will seem to overcut almost every single shot. Once you have your target, you're finally ready to walk in on a straight line between this and the cue ball. Stage 4, what's the first thing you should do when you're down on the shot? Well, it's to make sure that you're lining the cue ball up in the centre, and this seems to be playing the cue ball directly towards your target. If this doesn't seem to be right, you need to get up and try it again, because stage 5 is to stay still on the shot and not change your mind. Forget about where the object ball needs to go. From here, it's very difficult to see if you're going to play the object ball in the right direction or not, so don't try to. Just simply remember your target on the object ball and just try to get the cue ball to this exact place. Focus on the target and playing the tip to it if it helps, because very little tiny movements on the shot can affect it drastically. I thought I was staying completely still, but look how much the dot moves. But in what other way will moving on the shot drastically harm your game? Well, over time you build up an idea of what's going to happen on every shot. The more consistent and predictable your game is, the quicker you'll learn new shots, and the more confident you'll be of where the shot's going to go. But if you're making small on-shot adjustments, you won't be so consistent, because potting a ball may rely on you moving on the shot. If you're doing this, you've probably found you're not improving anymore. Stage 6 is by far the hardest to get right. Why? Because it's watching the cue ball onto the object ball, or more precisely, watching the cue ball hits your target on the object ball. This is really difficult to do even in slow motion, and at full speed can be really tricky. There are just so many distractions and things to be worried about, but if this is something you can do, then this is really going to bring your game on. Stage 7 is to not ruin everything you've already done by jumping up off the shot. Having your body move around is fairly common even for some of the best players in the game, but it makes snooker so much harder and less predictable. And just as before, when we were talking about moving before you play the shot, your consistency will fall and it may leave you feeling like you have no idea what you're doing. This is something that everybody should be constantly checking they're getting right, and something I should definitely be getting right is the location of where Basket Hound lives on the map, and he is in fact the second person we've had from New Delhi, India. All in all, I think 8 pool's a fairly decent game. The last thing you want is games like this to be overcomplicated, and 8 pool definitely isn't that. If you know what you're looking for, it can really help you understand how to line up shots, as well as string a basic break together. However, I do find it's a little bit addictive and you could waste so much time playing this game. And it's not just simple for you, it's simple for everybody, meaning that someone usually loses by way of chance, which can be very annoying. However, better news is Paul Regal is from Falmouth in the UK, and he is there. So I hope you remember the 7 stages for improving your game. Work out which shot you're going to play and where it needs to go, where the cue ball needs to go in order to pot it. You can then draw a straight line through the target cue ball and the cue ball to find your target on the object ball. You are then ready to proceed to the shot in stage 4, making sure you're lined up to the centre of the cue ball, and this matches up to where your target is on the object ball. Stage 5 is to keep your focus on this point and assume it is right 100% of the time. Stage 6, watch the position the cue ball strikes the object ball. This is really hard to do, but it can improve your game if you can get it right. And stage 7 is to not ruin it all by jumping up off the shot. If you want to find out more about not ruining your game, then try our video Snooker learn basic techniques quickly. Or if you want to know more about side spin, then try our video Snooker Side Spin Basic How To. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel. See you later.